So, an award-winning police officer has been fired after he was accused of showing a lack of courtesy, think about this, and respect to a knife-carrying teenager he arrested for assault. Honestly, the decision to dismiss PC Lorne Castle has prompted fury after he was found to have committed gross misconduct, with critics calling it bloody madness and perverse. The officer swore at and threatened the 15-year-old suspect as he arrested him for allegedly assaulting two people, one of whom was an elderly man. I think in the comments section they said that elderly man later died. So PC Castle, 46, pinned the youth up against a wall before taking him to the ground. Both techniques which were later deemed lawful. The boy, known as Witness A, screamed in the officer's face and resisted arrest while on the floor. The officer of 9 years then called him, I'm guessing, a bitch, and threatened to smash him in while straddling him. And at one stage, he placed his hand on the boy's face and jabbed his finger at him, a disciplinary panel had heard. During the commotion, a Stanley-type knife, so basically a Stanley-type blade, fell out of the teenager's waistband. But the panel has now ruled, think about this, that PC Castle made the boy feel, honestly, like he's sitting down, made the boy feel frightened and intimidated and showed him a lack of courtesy and respect during the arrest in Bournemouth in January of last year. Now, what I am certainly seeing, and I have done for, it must be 15, 20 years now, is this fast track of certain people in the police force that have never really walked the beat, have very little experience on the street, and they seem to be fast tracked through the police, for management and all the rest of it, etc., etc. And I tend to find that many of them are into the New Age movement. They've gone and they've done these common purpose graduate courses and all the rest of it. And I would say, in many respects, what you're seeing is what the police used to be about, being hauled out from the inside. Now, this is an award-winning cop. This is a guy who apparently had done great things, risked his life on a number of occasions, etc., etc. But because he said some hurty words to a 15-year-old, deviant, this twisted little tosser that has, a proven criminal record, and because this guy said some hurty words in his arrest, he's been sacked. Think about this, seriously, yeah. And you wonder why morale is so... look, I know there's police out there that should not be in the police. There's, officers out there. Mind you, it used to be called policeman and policewoman, and the legal aspect of that is another discussion, but the corporatization and all the rest of it, legal definitions, I get you, but I've always said there's still some decent police out there, and morale, unsurprisingly, between that and the LGBT X, Y, and Z and all this, and hearty words and mindfulness, and I'm sure there's some, mockery in some comedic Scottish programme. I mean, I don't watch TV, but I could look it up, but, it's... I'll maybe link it below. He's standing there, and everything he says is offensive to somebody, so he keeps going back up and apologising. But it's basically sort of the mockery of where we're going. Really, essentially, it's I remember, good God, the miners' strike. If you were to look up vids about police and the miners' strike, good God, how is that? One extreme to the other. But meanwhile, 7 years ago, apparently in Scotland, this is how Scottish police deal with a burglar. And, I have no issue with this at all. I'll leave you a link to it. But this thieving scumbag tosser, I mean, remember, this is your castle, this is your home. And, you know, I should do more vids about burglary, thefts, things in general, as regards punishment. I mean, really, I would love to see much more of an old school policing aspect. I mean, these guys, you know, bear in mind this is 7 years ago. This may not be, for example, police policy in Scotland now, but I had no problems with this thieving bastard getting the just deserves when these guys turn up. They do not fuck about. They really don't. You know, look at the damage this tosser has done to this house already before he even gets to enter it, yeah? Well, yeah, when the cops turn up, let me, under fair use, play the following. No fucking about there. Fucking, no. What are you doing there, sir? Just fucking wallop. Straight away they chuck away the, well, you know, the crowbar. Quite right, absolutely. No fucking about there, like. None. And by the way, the language, absolutely, it's quite fruity. Help you get. No fucking about. Seriously. I have no issue with these cops at all. At all. None. But they, I mean, really, seriously. Really? Hurty words. Hurty words. This guy has been saintly, by and large, from what I've seen, as regards to his career in the cops. This guy has gone out his way to save people's lives. I think somewhere I read that, he dived into freezing water to save somebody. And this guy, Nah, you said hurty words and offended people. Seriously. See, a guy who'd attacked other people fucking drops a Stanley knife in his arrest, yeah? But no. That's the guy that's got to go. Seriously, this is part and parcel of the hollowing out of the UK. There's no two doubts about it. Remember, under Agenda 21, it's not so much a police force, but UN troops. How do you get there? Honestly, I've said it before. Confidently, at least up until the 80s and in the 90s, as children and adolescents and all the rest that could confidently go up to a cop and, I need to get to such and such or whatever, advice, you name it, blah, blah, blah. They were really quite friendly. Don't get me wrong. I remember walking home one night as it would have been my late teens. And at the time, I was doing a wee stint at a place called the Cannymans in Morningside. And unfortunately, when I finished there was no bus out to Dalkeith. So I had to literally walk, until I could save enough to get a car. I had to walk from there out to Dalkeith. Think about that. And I had some cop in the early hours of the morning going, hey, where are you going? I said, I'm walking. And he's like, no, you stop, blah, blah. And I'm like, is there a curfew? You could tell the guy was, like, you cheeky wee. And I'm like, no, seriously. And I don't think I was wrong there. I thought, right to walk about day or night. And it's where they stopped me, but, there's good cops and there's bad cops out there. But I would say when it comes to much of management now, what goes for management now is to hollow out what the cops used to be about. Seriously, no two doubts in my mind. And I'd love to, and maybe I should do more vids about, theft. All this just walking into shops and eateries and whatever else, and then just, your everything from your Greggs to whoever, and they're just going in there, filling baskets and, bags and just walking out. Seriously. I'd like that to change. I've said it in the past. They should get at least the birch. Like, I'm sorry, all this socialist shite about, if somebody can't afford to eat, well, then they have every right to steal, blah, blah, blah. Where historically does that go? It always goes to tyranny. Order out of chaos and all the rest of it. Seriously. Anyway, your thoughts, and I'll speak to you soon.